The professional knows that the sale is not complete until the product or service has been delivered to the client. What else is there to do after you've completed the application and received payment? What are the things that the professional knows and does and that the order takers omit? Well, well, well. Eli's dad here with Project Eli, where we educate, lead, and inspire. If you like everything to be well, 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 there are a few other tasks that must be performed after a sale is made. Today, we're going to talk about a few of those tasks, the ones that separate the professional from the order taker. Follow along as Eli and I converse on that very subject. You know, Eli, when you have the benefit of some good mentors, you often receive flashbacks from their tutelage. As I was composing this sales primer for you, I couldn't help but think back to Mr. Mutnick, the man that first taught me sales. It's true that I learned many of my closes from study, reading, and listening to tapes, but many of the nuances that I have shared with you in our 10 previous lessons came directly from Mr. Mort Mutnick. As I have told you previously, we would sit down one-on-one after I completed turning my applications in each morning. He would give me the information about where my appointments were for that evening, and then we would talk. Well, mostly he would talk and I would listen. He would tell me pointed stories about when he was, quote, carrying a briefcase, unquote, the term he always used to describe being a salesman. The stories always contained some humor and a lesson to be remembered, or a new close, or a method to get referrals, or how to talk on the phone, or how to reset an appointment, or the ideal seating arrangements in the home, or how to never present to a one-legger, a presentation with one spouse absent, or what kind of posture to assume, or how to button up your client. He was such a tremendous coach for me, Eli. I was just a puppy, just out of college, and I was smart enough to do exactly as he told me. Or I was dumb enough to do exactly as he told me. I'll let you choose. It was so amazing that he knew all the different scenarios before they came to pass. Well, I guess 40 years of experience carrying a briefcase made him a great mentor for me. Today, if you don't mind, I'm going to be a bit nostalgic as I share some of his lessons about what to do after you've closed the sale. You may have noticed, young man, that I've repeatedly used the phrase order taker versus being a professional. Mr. Mutnick was the one that used that phrase with me quite often, especially when I was very, very green and prone to making mistakes. He was in his 70s, and he would wrinkle his nose in his face and exclaim to me that I was making a mistake like an order taker. That's how he would yell at me. He wouldn't raise his voice. He would just wrinkle up and call me an order taker. If you want to successfully carry a briefcase, this is what you must do to be a professional. And then he would correct my boo-boo, and we would role play the correct way to perform the action that I had mishandled. Virtually every time that he taught me something, he only had to teach me once. Why? Not because I was so smart. It was because he showed me how my error had cost me and him a sale. Money. Well, sorry for the long preamble, but I need you to see that sharing these lessons with you is a labor of love. It's also the fulfillment of a promise that I made to Mr. M so many years ago to share his wisdom with you and others. You, Eli, are not the first. There have been others before you, and they too were sworn to continue to apprentice appropriate individuals. Anyway, let's get started with what you need to do after the sale and why you need to do it. Do you remember that when you are making an in-home presentation with prospects that are not executives, that we called them amateurs? That's not meant to be derogatory. It's meant so that you will understand the why and because of their behavior. For instance, wouldn't it be nice if a baby knew how to use the bathroom immediately and you never had to purchase diapers or have to change a baby? Why do we have to do that? Because a baby is a baby. It's going to do baby things. Have you ever heard New Year's Eve referred to as amateur night? Do you know why? Because many people go out on the town that night that are unaccustomed to drink, and they overdo it. That's why they always warn you to be especially careful driving and why there were more law enforcement patrols out and about on that night. Well, Eli, because most of your in-home clients are not well schooled in making business decisions, like buying your product or service, they tend to assume a very conservative posture and prefer to not make a decision because they're afraid it may be wrong. The experienced executive makes business decisions all the time. It's part of their job. Here are the characteristics of the executive. They are decisive in their decision making, and once they make a decision, they stick with it. Why? They're confident. They've done it before many times. The amateur, on the other hand, is typically not decisive. That is, not quick to make a decision. And they tend to change their minds. It is essential that you comprehend these characteristics. So now you know why the typical sale requires multiple closes. The amateur needs to be over-assured that their decision is the correct one. The professional closer realizes this and is prepared to overcome this indecisiveness with patience and understanding. Just as you are patient with a baby's diaper situation, you must be patient and prudent to remove the unwanted refuse that your in-home client carries with them. In other words, once you've gotten rid of the poop, you'll stop the crying. So get rid of the poop. You must, however, be cognizant that this same client is prone to changing their mind about their purchase. It's called buyer's remorse. You must prepare for that. The only problem is that buyer's remorse occurs after you've left the house. The client has the phone number of the office and calls and cancels. On more than one occasion, a client's cancellation phone call arrived in the office before I arrived in the office with their application. Here's what Mr. Mutnick told me to do to overcome this issue. First, remember that people buy on emotion but justify their purchases with logic. Second, remember all the hot buttons that you discovered when you were performing the warm-up with the client. Third, carry some standard size white envelopes with you. Why the envelopes? Because, Mr. Eli, there is always paperwork that accompanies any sale or purchase. You, the salesman, keep a copy and the client has a copy, right? Here's what you say to the client. Fred and Ethel, whenever anybody purchases our product or service, they are always very proud that they made a right decision. Now, after I leave here tonight, because we're all human, we tend to forget some of the features, advantages, and benefits of why you made your purchase. I just want to jot them down so if you need to review all the reasons, they'll be there for you. Fair enough? And then you write down all the reasons, both logical and emotional, that made them say yes. It'll be easy because you'll mostly be writing down their hot buttons from the warm-up. If the clients start to get buyer's remorse, they will look in that envelope for your company's phone number. What will they see first before they get to the phone number? All the reasons why they made the purchase in the first place. You'll not be able to stop all the cancellations, but you'll find that there will be fewer of them because you took an extra 5 minutes to button up the client. Don't forget the button up and why it is essential to the sale. Now, Eli, would you like to have a steady stream of qualified prospect, increase your numbers, make your job easier? Next time that we reassemble, we will discuss how to do that by getting referrals, the number one friend of any successful salesperson. To ensure that you're privy to that info, make sure that you have subscribed and rung the bell for notification of new videos. Let's get you started on the next lesson right now. Please refer our channel to others with whom it will add value. Our thought for the day is prospects are essential for sales success. Referred prospects are the key to keeping your pocketbook and your pipeline full week after week after week. And because we never end a meeting on a philosophical note, Get out there and charge. I'm Eli's dad.